Right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught me this truth, and the sincere peace, blessings, and salutations to you, Akim, across the four corners of the earth, pushing his knowledge and truth and his sincerity. Let's go to the book of Second Esdras, sixth chapter. Ninth chapter, Salakia. Second Esdras 9. All right. All right, Second Esdras chapter 9. Just going to start at the top. It says, and he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. And when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. All right. So I want to go into this article because Australia has been enforcing draconian measures upon their people. Enforcement of lockdowns, restricting movements, forcing their way upon the people to consent to their agenda, mandatory, that thing, mandatory Vanessa, impacting jobs, industries, livelihoods of the citizens, and they're rising up against their government. They're rising up against those who are decreeing these unrighteous decrees. And now, as you see in the title of the article, it says, F the jab, long live Australia. 20,000 shut down Melbourne Highway in massive lockdown protest. Now, the authorities are out there, law enforcement, and these people are still flooding the streets. Now, this is Second Esdras 15 and 16. It says, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. And the kings or princes are your leaders, your modern day leaders, your political leaders. Those would be considered the kings and princes. It says, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. All right. The course of their actions, what these people decide to do, are going to be based upon their own minds. It's not going to be based upon an unrighteous decree of the leadership. And this is what we're seeing now. This is what we're about to read about now in this article. This is biblical prophecy coming to pass. It says anti-lockdown protests have become more common in Australia since the latest round of snap lockdowns began 2 months ago. Initially, those lockdowns were supposed to last a week, but months later, with tensions running high, millions of Australians are fed up with the government's lockdowns and vaccine and Vanessa requirements. It says, and although Aussie health authorities have at the very least acknowledged that their C0 or COVID-0 approach isn't actually feasible, frustrations among Australian people are running high. Perhaps intensified by the country's latest diplomatic faux pas, which angered France and made PM Scott Morrison look like he stabbed President Macron in the back. It says on Tuesday in Melbourne, authorities were forced to confront the blazing public anger as protesters executed an extremely dangerous maneuver by marching onto a busy freeway and blocking traffic in a tactic that some Americans might remember from last summer's BLM protests inspired by the killing of George Floyd. All right, so let's look at this. All right. Look at that. And this is over the main dates. Okay, that thing. You got construction workers, okay, that are flooding the streets, blocking the highways. 20,000. It says thousands converged on the city for a second consecutive day on Tuesday, with shocking footage capturing dozens moving onto the Westgate Freeway into the path of cars. Traffic on the freeway, which is the busiest stretch of highway in Australia, was forced to a standstill in both directions as police tried to disperse the crowd. And this is, again, now they got blockades. They're really heavily restricting movements, across city lines. And again, this is all biblical prophecy coming to pass, because Second Esdras talks about all of these things that will be happening in the last days, and we're seeing them happen right now before our eyes. Because back in Second Esdras 15, verse 17 says, "A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able." All right? And shall not be able. That's what we're seeing. Freeways are being blocked. People are trying to, get to where they need to go. As you can see, you see massive trucks and semis that are probably transporting goods, that needs to be delivered to certain stores so that shelves can remain stocked, and they're unable to make the deliveries. Okay, what is that going to lead to? Shortages, famines, because these things are going to take place more and more on a mass scale. We already have out in California, you have all those container ships that's stuck out at sea, so everything is just backed up, man. That means that there's going to be a point in time where these stores, they're going to be filling it on, the shelves are going to be even more empty. They're not going to be able to get their products in time to replenish their stocks. All of these things are spoken about in the scriptures, man. Because if I jump over to 2 Esdras 16, let me see. 2 Esdras 16. 2 Esdras 6. All right, 2 Esdras 6, verse 22, it says, "And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, and the full storehouses shall be suddenly found empty." And that's what's coming to pass, man, as these supply chains continue to be broken down. All right, as more uproars happen, because you get these truck drivers on strike, you got these construction workers on strike. That's going to prevent that's going to cause the shortages of workers to make these deliveries, to deliver these goods to where they need to be, for building out the cities. It's leading to shortages, man, which is also going to have a ripple effect on the economy. So we're truly living in the last days where we're going to witness all hell break loose, a complete collapse of society. And you're seeing it play out there in Australia, one step at a time, and soon it's going to be over here in the shores of America. You already have the protests that are happening out there in New York, because now, Mayor de Blasio is enforcing his key to the city passport, and the people they ain't with it. So same thing is already unfolding here in America. We at the beginning stages. It says footage circulated on social media showed protesters tossing glass bottles and flares toward police, while some approached officers with their hands up, chanting, "You serve us." One was heard shouting, "This is our bridge." Okay. So Yeah, they out there, man. These people are pissed. These people are standing up against the agenda of the wicked elite, the so-called white man Esau Edom, according to the scriptures. Okay? So these uproars are an indication that we're living in the last days, because you're seeing them all over the world. Everybody is pushing back against this agenda. All right. I'm gonna close it with this. Because when you have wickedness ruling the earth, this is the type of condition that people are gonna be in. But when you have righteousness ruling the earth, then everything is gonna be in his order. All right? Everything is gonna be in his order. So this is Proverbs 29, verse 2. It says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. All right? And when you gotta go protest for your right to your own freedoms and your right to your being able to live, because of you're not allowing someone to do what they want with your body. When you have to fight for that, you're living amongst wickedness. When they putting something in you, when they're not even telling you and fully disclosing what's in it, they don't even fully understand what the long-term side effects are. That's because there's a wicked elite that has an agenda, and they're using you as pawns to fulfill their agenda, and they need to be put down. That's why none of this makes sense. That's why the entire narrative is falling apart, and it has so many holes in it. You know, but the elect, hey, we know we're gonna have to suffer some things, but at the end of the day, we're not gonna have anything to worry about. We understand, we have knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that these things were gonna come to pass, and now they're here. You know, and we're gonna hold fast to our faith, and Yahweh Shem Yahushua, that He's gonna deliver us during these times of trouble. But these people are rising up, man, against their oppressors. They're rising up against the government. They're rising up against their kings and princes, their leaders. And we're going to see more uproars. You know, these are the beginning of sorrows. So with that, I'm going to say shalom.